And we're live. Woohoo. Andy, welcome to the show, dude. Good to see you.
What's popping?
Living the dream. Hey, I didn't know a couple things about you. That was pretty cool. Everybody knows he's Andy from DIMO, but you went to Cornell. And you got a BA in policy analysis and management, which is like, that's interesting to think about how that applies to.
You've been doing the deep background research.
Yeah, super deep. At least one web page.
Most of my learning happened outside of the classroom. I was running a moving company in college, and actually with one of the other co-founders of DIMO, Alex Rawitz.
Okay.
So,
and then you got a chance to work with Tony Hsieh, who's famous for Zappos, or you worked for this Project 100 thing, which is pretty cool. So
I did.
You've been in mobility for a while.
Yes, that kind of pushed me down the rabbit hole. We built some cool electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and we created one of the first shared bike systems in the US with a company that at the time was called Social Bicycles and became Jump Bikes, which was bought by Uber. And yeah, we built a lot of cool shared mobility technology, and that got me into my next gig, building autonomous vehicle systems with TransDev.
Those TransDev, right? And then TransDev had you work in a couple places, New York and Mountain View and Los Angeles, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
I've lived in Vegas, DC. From DC, I went to Phoenix. From Phoenix, I went to New York, and then I was in the Bay Area, and then LA, and then Providence, Rhode Island. I go to Detroit and New York all the time now because that's where our team is. So all over the place.
Okay. Skipping around. Well, sorry to start down the other end of memory lane, but I thought it'd be cool to get a little bit of background. And there's, neat stuff that I was reading about.
Our new research assistant's really paying off.
Yeah. This guy. Let's see. So for folks that don't know, DIMO is a Web3 connected vehicle platform. Basically, the car drives around, it picks up all this data anyway. You guys are now allowing people to see that data and also to sell that data if they want passive income. You started in August 2020, I think.
Yep. And we did about a year of testnet and launched the mainnet back in December. So the mainnet of DIMO is about 5 months old at this point, 6 months old.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't realize the mainnet was that young.
Yeah.
So super cool. And then the other crazy thing was that 25% of your users are in Europe. I would have thought that most of these projects are kind of fully American, but turns out that global decentralized networks are more global than we thought.
Yeah, with us, there's obviously a lot of infrastructure that needs to exist in order to add a new geographic location. Proof of car is very important for DIMO, so making sure that we have an accurate list of all of the cars and VIN numbers in a specific region is important, and it's relatively easy to do that for Europe and the US and Canada. We also support, and I guess the UK is kind of part of Europe, but we consider that a separate region. Have a separate career there. And yeah, we're talking with folks all over the world. Australia, South Korea, Japan, Southeast Asia is going to end up being a huge market for DIMO. And the question is just not if, but when.
Yeah. No, you guys are going crazy. It's like right now it's the kind of darling of the deep in space. It's like, oh my God, have you heard about DIMO? Have you seen DIMO? Have you heard DIMO? It's like, I have seen DIMO. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah. You've been following the project for a while. Yeah, since the Helium days for sure. And I guess that's sort of what we grew out of. And we've been plugging in a lot of these guys recently, and we are excited to be shipping more of them in more places. And the next big thing for us is really opening up the developer platform. And that's something that we're extremely excited about, have some folks working with the APIs. And it's one of those things where you have that like real light bulb moment as a developer, and seeing other people have that moment is exciting for me because that's, I think, where this thing is really going to take off, is when folks can show up and, write some code in, a week or two and have, 12,000 plus users that can, already start using their app or service with data they've already collected on their own. And so, that's something that, people are really like starting to get their hands on, and we're going to have some stuff towards the second half of this year that starts to come out that you can actually use. And that's fun because I think, Helium with the IoT network, it took multiple years for people to build applications for the network once the network existed. And for us, like, it's actually quite a bit easier to incentivize people to show up and have them create apps because there's all these existing markets for them to sell into. They don't have to like create new hardware in order to use the network. So that's one way in which we're kind of fundamentally advantaged, I think.
Yeah. Hey, I was watching an interview recently with Yev, and he said something that it blew my mind, and I want to make sure I'm getting it right. So we all think like the car data that you can pick up is whatever, fuel level, battery level, tire pressure, that crap. But he said the thing is also collecting cell network signal data. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
So are you guys going to be the next like Mapper DAO? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, look, however the data can be useful, that's one of the cool things about the developer platform and having this like big aggregated data set is people show up all the time with, they want to know weather data. They want us to start collecting video data. Of course, like, we've sort of teased and announced that we're going to be adding dash cam support to, you can already add it yourself to this device if you want. So the sky is the limit once you have the solid foundation of like making sure that you can collect valid information and that people aren't spoofing the network. And that's what we've been very focused on in the early days. But we get all kinds of data. We're adding support, more integrated support for collecting error code data. So they're called DTCs in the automotive space, but that tells you like specifically what problem the car is having. And then, when you extrapolate that out to the entire fleet, you can come up with really cool insights into, what types of issues are happening on specific vehicles at specific times. So, all this kind of stuff is possible. And we're really just putting the pieces in place to open it up to developers.
Yeah, it's cool to see. It's always been a thing. I've got this little 𝐒𝐮𝐻, and I don't think anyone's written whatever the DTC decoders, whatever they're called for it. So I'm always looking at things like, all right, when's this thing going to tell me something awesome? But it'll come. Come. There's not enough Volkswagen 𝐒𝐮𝐻 owners. There's probably like 200 of us. So
is that what your device is plugged into?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, one of the biggest constraints has actually not been getting the so there's the diagnostic trouble codes, and then there's the CAN bus signals themselves. So the OBD, there's all these 3-letter acronyms, and it's after a long day of work, I'll confuse them all. But
it all gets mixed up.
Yeah. But the big constraint for us has actually not been getting access to the codes. It's been deploying them onto the device, and we've set these up to be able to over-the-air update. And so with the device plugged into your car, and the fact that you're not getting great data, that's actually a signal to the folks that are building the network, like, hey, this car needs better support. We don't get battery level, cell voltages, or we don't get this type of data or that type of data, and we can actually, we're using this as sort of like a way to reverse engineer cars in a very distributed fashion, and that will add support for more cars, especially once we get to smaller devices and things that don't have the ability to run as much local compute.
No, I look at this stuff and I feel like in DePIN, I've got a superpower, and that superpower is patience. It's just like, if it doesn't work today, just like wait a week. Some really smart people are going to work on it, and it'll work for you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so, and also just like the wisdom of the crowd is a big thing, right? A lot of folks, who have these plug-in devices for very application-specific use cases are trying to solve a very long-tail problem with a finite amount of resources. And one thing that we have to our advantage is that it's a more open platform, and we have 12,000 people that are connected to it already. And so that's, sort of like hive mind that we can tap into and use as an advantage. And yeah, it's one of the things that we definitely have to, lean into and take full advantage of.
Yeah, totally. Let's see. We got a question on Twitter, and then we'll do the new stuff after that. How does DIMO think about building an ecosystem around integrations, and are open data sets a future possibility? That's from Valerie at Foundation. Anyone heard of her? No.
Yeah, we have some open data sets. We publish a weather data stream that's like super highly aggregated weather data that you can mess around with today. It's a very early use case. We have an enterprise that's paying for access to aggregated data today, and they're interested. We can't talk specifically about the use case, but obviously it's something that's benefiting the network as a whole, because that gets distributed out to the users, and they're interested in electric vehicle charging station usage, and also some of the battery data that we get from EVs. And so We publish research on this if you go to dimo.zone/insights, you can see some of the research that we publish. Usually we put out a new piece of research every month or so. And anyone who, is a part of the community can suggest new topics for research, and also can, if there's a specific data set that you have a use for, we're pretty open to taking feedback. And a lot of our research topics have come from community members in the past, and are focused on topics that they're interested in.
Take it. Are you guys going to do anything with incorporating decentralized rideshare with your apps? Is that coming down the pipe?
Yeah, I mean, certainly peer-to-peer car sharing, ride hailing. One area that we're really excited about is just like the used car market in general. And we're very focused on building up to those use cases by adding additional building blocks to DIMO. So like improving glove box support, so you can like verify the person's identity and upload title and registration to the vehicle. Especially from back in my transdev days, I have a lot of experience with like background checks for drivers, and making sure that the car that's picking you up is properly inspected. And like there's a lot of, in order to build a proper ride hailing network, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that Uber is doing in a very centralized way right now that we feel could be decentralized over time. But there's a lot of stuff to build in between here and there. And so a lot of our focus is on like creating these composable building blocks for somebody to like be able to verify their identity and upload documents about their vehicle, and then that will allow them to more easily sell their car or participate in a ride hailing network, or put their car into a peer-to-peer car sharing network like Turo. And so this year is really like adding all those building blocks and creating some of the simple apps. And then I think next year you're going to start to see some of those things emerge. And certainly there's teams that are working on those things already. And, they could end up coming and building a very simple integration with DIMO over time, or, it could emerge more organically out of the community. And, we're open to either approach, really.
Either one, yeah. I mean, just thinking about it, there's some pretty clear synergies between you and HiveMapper, between you guys and Drive, which I just found out about, between you guys and WeatherXM, between you guys and GeoNet, like across the space. It's like if you're collecting weather data with this thing, WeatherXM wants to know about it. If you're doing positioning, GeoNet wants to do it. If you're doing Drive, which is ride hailing, they want to know. But like HiveMapper obviously has got the camera thing. Yeah. So it's like, how are you guys looking at integrating across a bunch of different projects? Not just like the regular stuff, but also your peers in the Web3 space.
We're taking a very user-focused approach, and we're trying to solve problems that users of DIMO today and tomorrow have. And so to the extent that these other projects in the DePIN space can provide additional earning opportunities to users, help them increase the value of their data, provide new ways for them to get value and have a better experience with their car ownership, then that's something that we're interested in. And you can definitely go down a rabbit hole of trying to like find all of these like overlaps and synergies, but at the end of the day, like what really matters is solving user problems. And there's a lot of things that you can do with DIMO, and that's one of the reasons that we're opening it up as a developer platform. I think that's really important, is like we are creating the protocol to make it as easy as possible for people to do the core actions, which are, sign up, collect data from cars, make sure that data is real. And then at the application layer, like lots of other things can start to happen. And also, people that are participating in the network can make suggestions about new reward pools that we might create for something like mapping, or, kind of like collabs or overlaps with other projects are certainly possible as well. And, we have a lot of cool ideas and activity bubbling around in the human layer of the network.
Yeah. I mean, you got to figure out what the market signal is, and then work to that, execute towards that. Let's see. Suburban Crypto is asking, what do you feel is the largest market to focus on in the near future? Stealing my question, Suburban Crypto. What's next, dude?
Yeah, I mean, look, like, if you look at the things that people spend money on related to their car, depreciation is the biggest category. So like, helping people either, more accurately value their car, get a better offer for it when they go to sell it, is something that we feel like the data can really help with. And then there's also limiting depreciation by helping people maintain their cars more effectively. Yeah. And then, so that's kind of on the like practical, like not very fun side of things. And then I think probably the biggest single market is like enthusiasm or enthusiast communities around cars, and like people collecting cars and like racing them. And there's all of these like incredible consumer applications and things that people are like incredibly passionate about that we're going to start to see emerge at the application layer once we open up the developer platform. And like we had somebody do a cannonball run with a DIMO device plugged into their car, and like they got all this awesome data. It could have been a lot more, but it was like very early on in the network. And so like being able to just like share that data and have people like make content with it, or get excited about it in their weird cannonball run enthusiast community is like, I think probably like biggest number of users are interested in that kind of stuff. But like the biggest monetary potential monetary value is really just in making the used car market more data driven. And there's a bunch of subsets of that, whether it's like getting people better financing, getting them a better price when they go to sell their car. And we already have people doing that today on the network, but it's going to be like 100 times more easy and also better in a year or so. So
love it, dude. We're a little bit over. Let's wrap up with this idea of like if someone hasn't been following this for a while, what's kind of the latest new thing that you're super stoked on?
Error codes are coming out soon. That's going to be the next release. We just kind of locked that in and are have it in test now. So there'll be a much better way to read error codes from your car, which also like increases the data that we're collecting. And we've started to tease out we're going to have a next generation device available, and also dash cam support. And there's people working on those in the deep depths of the Discord. And there's certainly ways to get involved as a tester if you're super passionate about it. But if you haven't connected a car, obviously go get started and do that. And if you want to buy one of these devices, you can use the code SUPERFRIEND, all one word, and that'll give you a nice tasty discount on shop.dimo.zone.
Okay, love it. Well done. Didn't even need a prompt. You're crushing it.
Yeah. I do enough of these. There we go.
Yeah. Right. Ripping. Well, thanks for stopping by and catching us up to date on what's going on. Super stoked to see you back in a couple weeks and see what's going on with DIMO.
All right. Later, guys.
All right. Lates.